Hello everyone from Chelsea Fan TV. I'm inside St James's Park after a 2-0 loss against Newcastle in the Premier League. And the word isn't anger today. That's not the word I would use. I feel very flat. I feel like I really don't want to be in front of a camera. That's how I feel. I don't have a lot to say. I don't have a lot to say. I think I've said a lot of what I wanted to say in other games, and there's no point just repeating myself for the sake of it. So let's try and see what can we take from today. What did we think we were going to get from today? Look, I think ultimately we bottled it. We bottled it today. We bottled it in a game that a lot of fans would have said we would have lost anyway, myself included. Didn't really know. Don't think I had a prediction coming into this. I would have said this is an absolute 50-50 against Newcastle. This is a bogey ground. We had a terrible time here last season in the Premier League. We had a poor time the season before that. In the Carabao Cup, it was comfortable. They easily knocked us out. Let me know in the chat if you think this was the worst performance in the Carabao Cup earlier on in the season. I would actually argue it was a better performance, which is crazy because we had less players on the pitch, and for some reason when we had 11 we played worse than when we had 10. As soon as you take Jackson off the field, we're playing more fluid football. Not to say it was exceptional, because it wasn't, but considering it was 10 people, I've got to give a little bit of respect to that, because we did do very well to put Newcastle under so much pressure, and they wanted to defend the lead. They did defend it, but they didn't only defend it, they consolidated at the end with that goal from Bruno. And I can't sit here and shout at the team and say you're an absolute disgrace. I don't think it was one of those types of games. I don't think it was that kind of game. Look, Maresca was really poor. Jackson, I don't know what he's doing. There's some games where players that just don't have the right time. You've got Drogba in Moscow. John Terry did it in the Champions League, kneeing Alexis Sanchez. And you think, that is just stupid. What are you doing? But this isn't Drogba, and it's not John Terry, it's Jackson. Wacko Jacko, whatever you want to call him. Just let us down. He just let us down. He let us down. Totally agree with any fan that believes that. We were let down by one player, but for some strange reason, we rolled our sleeves up after he was gone and we gave it a good go. And we still didn't have enough to do it, but again, when you've got a player less on the pitch, what do you expect? Honestly, I think Maresca made the right substitution, bringing on Reece James for Madueke, and I think that James come on and did a good job. I think we looked better. I think that we should have just tweaked what we were doing earlier on in the game when we had Jackson on the field. I don't understand why Sanchez was pinging all these long balls up to him. He wasn't winning any of the balls. You're competing against Dan Burn, one of the tallest centre-backs in the league. He's massive. And you think that's going to be the solution. I don't get it. I don't understand the thought process there. But then at the same time, when we had the ball, we were still passive in the first half, and we weren't the aggressor. We weren't having shots. I think Caicedo had half a chance in the first half. Do you honestly think that's going to be enough? I said it before. I don't care how much possession you have. If you're not doing anything with it, it's meaningless to me. Just like if you talk to a girl for 6 months, if you haven't slept with her, what are you doing? Move on. She clearly isn't interested. I wasn't interested at one point. I'm looking behind me. I've got father sitting down on the seat, pretending to be asleep as a joke, saying the football's boring. Father, mate, why do you keep coming back? Because we love this club. Of course we love it. Of course I fucking love watching the club. But, I didn't have a chance to see him properly, but I saw Eric Barlin just going into the stadium at one point. He was going through one of his cars. He had heavy security. Suited and booted, trying to look fresh. Your team doesn't look fresh. Your team looks like a fucking yellow sticker from Sainsbury's that expired 2 weeks ago, but they still want to sell it to flip something. That's what it looks. It's not got enough quality. to produce. It doesn't have enough quality. We are being let down by a lack of quality. That was the issue for me today, a lack of quality. The manager absolutely needs to do better. Today isn't the day for me to talk about Maresca. You know how I feel. Hasn't changed. But I don't believe that Maresca was the #1 problem today. It was Jackson who let us down, and it was the fact that he put his teammates in the situation where they had to run that little bit more. Every single one of them had to work even harder to compensate for his stupidity and his lack of I don't even know what the word is. Just keeping it together. Keep it together, man. You're telling me you want to win Premier League titles with Chelsea. You're inspired by Drogba and all these players. You want to become the next African superstar. You can't do that from the bench with a match ban, mate, when you've got a red card. It doesn't work like that. You have to be available. Availability is the best ability. And then after that, we can talk. This is why I've criticised Fofana so heavily. If you're not available, why should I even care that you're a part of this team? But yeah, Jackson let us down. I thought the midfield, honestly, in the first half, I thought it was poor again. But then when we had less players in the second half, we took more control. I saw Caicedo getting a little bit more central. He'd done very well. I thought Caicedo was one of the standout players in this match. Some people say everyone was poor. I think that's a bit harsh. There were some players that gave it a good crack. Palmer was trying to get things ticking. Very difficult, very tough in a match like this. What else do I say? The atmosphere from the Newcastle fans, I mean, they were offering everyone a free pint if they came before 11 o'clock. It was an okay atmosphere. It was a morning game. We just don't like waking up in the morning, do we? Chelsea fans. Chelsea players don't want to wake up and play. Maybe it's one of them. If it was a 4 o'clock kickoff, we'd have a little bit more energy about us. I don't know, guys. I just feel so deflated. I feel very deflated, and I feel like I'm walking out of the stadium, and I think people expect us, they want me to shout. It's not one of those days. It's not one of those days. Today is a day where you just take it on the chin, really. It's not good enough. Didn't think we were good enough, but you still had a bit of hope. You beat Liverpool. I'd love to see what Maresca says after this game. I'd love to understand his thought process, see what he thinks the issue was. But Newcastle deserve it. They deserve to be in the Champions League more than we do. It's going to go down to the final day, isn't it? Against Nottingham Forest. So, am I confident? No, I'm not confident. Am I hopeful? Yes, there is a little bit of hope there. So, we'll see what happens, guys. Let me know what you think in the comments. Do you think that there's anything we could have done differently? Any players you thought performed well? Any players that you think were an absolute disgrace? Jackson's the obvious one. Madueke is another name that certainly needs to be in there. All the best, guys, and we will catch up very, very soon.